Yo, what's good, Jets Nation? This is NY Jets Media, and this is my 6th episode on this series that I created on my channel when I dive deep into each position group for the New York Jets. And in this one, I'll be talking about the defensive line. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've been posting daily content all about New York Jets. And with that being said, I'm really excited to get into this defensive line group for the Jets because, as all Jets fans know, the defensive line position has probably been the most consistent position for the Jets on defense because all we do is draft defensive linemen. It got to the point where we're like, okay, can we please not take a defensive lineman in the first round? I felt like we got so many players in this past decade just drafting defensive line. It's finally catching up because now the Jets are really deep at this position, and last year it was probably our best position on defense, and we were a top 3, top 5 rushing defense in the league. So I'm excited to give you guys my breakdown on each individual player, and I'll be bringing you guys my projected depth chart, and I'm excited to get into it. So let's jump right in. This is my projected depth chart. I know on the defensive line there's like 3 different positions. We got defensive tackle, left, right end, and the other end. But I'm just going to rank them on who I think is the best, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as you guys can see right here. So starting off with Quinn Williams. I think he's going to be the best player on this defensive line. Then we got Steve McClendon, Faloranzu Fatukasi. Then we got Henry Anderson, Nathan Shepard, Kyle Phillips, John Franklin Meyers, Bronson Cough, I always mess up his name, Jordan Willis, and then the 2 undrafted free agents, Sterling Johnson and Dominique Davis. So jumping right into Quinn Williams, he's going to be the first player I talk about. So jumping right in to talk about Quinn Williams, he obviously did not live up to expectations his rookie year. He was a 3rd overall pick, and we expected a lot more. I am not worried about Quinn Williams. I am still really high on his upside. He has the potential to really develop into a monster in that interior defensive line position, kind of like an Aaron Donald type. No, I'm not saying he's going to become the next Aaron Donald, but he really is building into his body now. He's becoming more, because when he first got drafted, he was like a big baby in a grown man's body, and you could tell he was still maturing. His body's already transforming. He was a little chubby, but now he's getting more muscular, and he just looks like an absolute monster. If you see a picture of Aaron Donald with the shirt off, he looks literally ripped out of his mind. I feel like if Quinn gets that work ethic and just keeps working, goes to the gym, and work on his craft for this position, his potential's through the roof. And I know his rookie year scared a lot of people because he battled injuries, he wasn't consistent. If you look at his numbers, they weren't there, but his type of numbers don't jump out to you because he did all the dirty work. There's a lot of times where he would dominate the offensive lineman and push him into the quarterback, which would force the quarterback to roll left, and then it would cause a sack. But on his stat sheet, that Quinn Williams doesn't get credit for that, but he had that interior pass rush. And I think he's already dominant in the run game. I think he just, to make that next step, he needs to develop a pass rush game interior-wise because the Jets are lacking an edge rush. As we know, that's probably been our weakest position as far as I've been a Jets fan. We've never had that premium edge rusher. So getting pressure up the middle interior is huge for this defensive line. And I'm really hoping Quinn can make a huge step in year 2 in becoming our franchise defensive tackle. So going into Steve McClendon, I'm projecting him to be our 2nd best because he has a different type of role in this team. He's that veteran leadership role. And there's so many young guys on this defensive line. So many players on this team last year played. Kyle Phillips, all these guys that are young are gravitating towards Steve McClendon. And Steve McClendon right now, as we speak, he has a gym, I think, in Georgia, and he's having all the defensive linemen come through and work out together. And I'm pretty sure Jordan Jenkins is there too. So it's good to have that veteran guy that owns a gym, getting everybody working out together. And he's just, like I said, he's that veteran presence. You need somebody like that can teach the rookies, teach the young guys. Quinn Williams is going to learn all from Steve McClendon. He's just a pro. He's a captain on that defense, and he's a huge voice in that locker room. So I'm really happy we re-signed Steve McClendon, and he's going to play a good role. Production-wise, he definitely is solid. He's like a 32-year-old vet, and he still puts up good numbers. He's really good in the run game, and this defensive line really is dominant in that run game, and a lot of credit goes to Greg Williams. I cannot have a defensive line video and not even talk about defensive coordinator Greg Williams because he coached the hell out of these players. We had so many guys. I mean, I'm going to get into each individual player, but so many guys that he's plugged in and they look like stars. So moving on to Folarantu Fatukasi, he is an interesting player because I'm pretty sure he was a former 5th or 6th round pick from Mike McCagnon. I remember his rookie year, he was like, okay, he's just, what is he going to be? He's pretty much an unknown. And then this year, he finally gets to play and shows worth, and he becomes dominant in the run game. He really solidified. And the best thing about this Jets defensive line, that we have so many names, we can just keep rotating them in and out, because you don't want somebody out there and just out 10 plays in a row and they're losing stamina. You just sub someone in and they're fresh, ready to go. So it's good to have so much depth at this position. And like I keep saying, this is definitely one of our deepest positions on this team, on offense or defense. So Folarantu Fatukasi completely mauled people interior run game, like I said, and he had some sacks. So I'm really high on Fatukasi. He's only going to get better and better. And that's another late round guy that really flourished, and that's a good draft pick by Mike McCagnon. Got to give McCagnon some credit for something he did. Didn't do a lot, but got to give some where it's due. You know what I mean? And then we got Henry Anderson. Henry Anderson I have 4th because he's getting paid a lot of money, and last year he didn't live up to the expectations for me personally. He had a really good season. I think it was 2018, and that caused McCagnon to re-sign him for an extension. And then this year, he was definitely the weakest of the group, but he still provided quality run stoppage. I feel like all these guys, their number one strength is stopping the run, and I feel like Henry Anderson can solidify that defensive end position rotationally. He's not going to be out there all game. He's another rotation guy, and I feel like he can have a bounce-back season this year because in 2018, he really had a successful season. So I'm hoping Henry Anderson can get back to his 2018 ways. Moving on to Nathan Shepard. Nathan Shepard was another late-round pick, I'm pretty sure in the same draft as Fatukasi, and he was like a 24-year-old rookie. I remember like, why are we drafting this guy if he's this old? And then 2019, he has like a 6-game suspension, so like, wow, this guy's going to be a bust. Like, what a terrible pick. And then after the 6-game suspension, Nathan Shepard comes in on the Jets at the end of the year and looked like another really good player. Greg Williams probably coached the hell out of him and got the best out of Nathan Shepard. He looked like a guy that can be a perfect position player, that can be a plug and play and a rotation guy. I know I keep saying rotation, but that's what this Jets defensive line is the best at, just rotating. They're on the sideline. They're getting their stamina back. When Nathan Shepard, he had a couple sacks. He had some mauling run-stopping plays. I remember watching him, and I was shocked. I was like, wow, this Nathan Shepard guy is actually really good. He has potential, and he's an older guy, but he's like only going into his third year, and he's like 25, 26. So he's a grown man. He's a big body, and he's only going to get better. So Nathan Shepard is another guy that I'm high on. And then next is Kyle Phillips. Kyle Phillips was an undrafted rookie last year that came in and played well. Getting an undrafted guy and his rookie season to come in and be productive like Kyle Phillips, that's not common. So Greg Williams is getting all the credit here because he obviously coached the hell out of Kyle Phillips, and he just plugged him in, and he was stopping the run. Pretty sure he had 1 or 2 sacks and looked like a quality player. That's 6 guys I just named that last year is a huge reason why we were so successful in the run game, and hopefully it can transition into that pass game. So like I said, Kyle Phillips, definitely a steal of the draft last year. If you want to redo the draft, he's going to get drafted, maybe probably a 4th, 5th, 6th round pick. He was an undrafted rookie, so it's huge value. And we also had 2 undrafted free agents this year who I'm going to talk about in a bit at the end of this video. Moving on to John Franklin Meyers. John Franklin Meyers, he was another guy that came in rotationally because when Quinn Williams went down, there were some injuries. He came in and played a little role, and he was solid. He's not someone I'm super high on, but he has potential. He's 7th on my board right now. So if he's playing, then there's a lot of injuries. So I'm not really worried about the depth that far down, but still, he's quality depth. He understands the Greg Williams system, so it's good to have him back, even if he makes the roster or not. So have him on the training camp. Doesn't hurt to have more bodies. Moving on to Bronson Cough. I think I'm saying his name right, Cough. But he was another guy. I remember in the preseason last year, he really stood out to me. I'm like, wow, this kid really is, he has energy to him. He loves the game. He has that it factor to him. So having him this far down in the depth chart is another thing. And all the players I'm talking about right now, I don't expect all of them to make the 53-man roster. So some of them could be on the training camp, but we'll see. I mean the practice squad, not the training camp. And then moving on to Jordan Willis. He's a guy that came in for a couple games. He wasn't really that much of a big deal, but I'm just going to talk about him in this video because he was on the team last year and he will be on the team in the future. He was a guy that came in late in the season when we battled a lot of injuries and played solid. He wasn't anybody I'm really high on. It's just another depth player. And then going into the last two guys, these are our two undrafted free agents in the 2020 draft, Sterling Johnson and Dominique Davis. I feel like both of these players can potentially be, one of them at least, can be another Kyle Phillips. And I can see why Joe Douglas did this. I remember me personally going into the draft, I was like, I really hope we do not draft an interior defensive lineman because we have a lot of draft picks and I'd rather it be somewhere else. So what Joe Douglas did is he did not draft one and he immediately signed two in undrafted free agency. So we didn't waste draft picks on any of them. He saw last year we got Kyle Phillips, and Quinn Williams was able to turn Kyle Phillips into a rotational productive player. So Joe Douglas is like, all right, I'm going to scout out the undrafted, get two guys to get in the room that can learn from McClendon, learn from Kyle Phillips, who already was an undrafted free agent, and maybe we can find a diamond in the rough. So I love that those two signings. I feel like they both have the potential to be a productive rotational player in the future. You never know. I don't think both of them will make the roster. They might both be on the practice squad since this position is so deep. But like I said, the more bodies on the defensive line, the better. You have to win in the trenches in this league on offense and defense. You saw that with the Colts. You see that with all the successful teams where if we're dominating on defensive line, that means we're getting to the quarterback, we're stopping the run, and that's what the Jets defense needs the most. And we obviously need edge pressure. But this video is not me talking about that. It's talking about run stopping and interior pressure. In my next video, I'll probably go over the edge rushers. So leave a comment down below what you guys think of this defensive line position. As you guys can tell, I'm very high on it, and I think most Jets fans should be high on it. We don't really have that big name elite guy yet. I think Quinn Williams has potential to be that guy in the future. But if you're not a Jet fan, you're looking at this Jets team, they're probably looking at this defensive line as a bunch of no-names because they're really not big names. Falarandu Fatukasi, probably nobody knows him but Jets fans. Nathan Shepard, Kyle Phillips, all these guys only Jets fans know of because they're just coached well. And they're just no names that play together. And that defensive line position really is a strong suit for this Jets team. And I'm so excited to watch them in 2020. So leave a comment down below again on your thoughts on the defensive line. And hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. And let's go Jets. I'll catch you guys in my next video. Peace.